Hello everyone, and welcome to a trash summary of Week 15 in the Overwatch League, plus the community MVP results from this week. The primary highlights from this week were Chipsa making his Overwatch League debut, the May Melee standings being decided, and the Valiant holding off the Toronto reverse sweep in the last match of the week. Jumping right into this week's matches, the Seoul Dynasty were defeated by the Chengdu Hunters 0-3. Chengdu won on Nepal 1-2, Hanamura 1-2, and Watchpoint 0-2. This left Seoul's record at 4 wins and 4 losses with a map ratio of -2, and with no matches remaining in the week, and after all of the other matches had been played, they were left in 9th. While Chengdu were left at 4 wins and 9 losses with a map ratio of -9, and they will play again the next day against the Guangzhou Charge. Moving on to the community MVP votes, Leaf got the 3 points with his percentage of 66, Jinmu got the 2 points with his percentage of 59.6, and Aman got the 1 point with his percentage of 48.9. Moving on to the second match of the week, the London Spitfire were defeated by the Shanghai Dragons 0-3. Shanghai won on Oasis 0-2, Anubis 2-3, and Watchpoint 2-3. This left London's record at 4 wins and 4 losses with a map ratio of -4, but they will play again the next day against the Spark. While the Shanghai Dragons were left at 11 wins and 2 losses with a map ratio of +26, they didn't play again, and after the rest of the matches had been played, they were left in second. Moving on to the community MVP votes, Fleder got the 3 points with his percentage of 64.4, Void got the 2 points with his percentage of 44.4, and Lip got the 1 point with his percentage of 42.2. Moving on to the final match in the Asian region for day 1, the New York Excelsior defeated the Hangzhou Spark 3-1. Hangzhou took Busan 0-2, but then New York took Anubis 2-1, Watchpoint 1-0, and Blizzard World 3-2. This left the New York Excelsior's record at 9 wins and 3 losses with a map ratio of +18. They didn't play again for the week, and after all the matches of the weekend had been played, they were left in 4th. While Hangzhou were left in 5 wins and 7 losses with a map ratio of -7, but they would play again the next day against the London Spitfire. Moving on to community MVP votes, Libero got the 3 points with his percentage of 74.4, Jonak got the 2 with his percentage of 37, and Gordsby got the 1 point with his percentage of 35.2. Moving on to the first match in the NA region for the week, the Vancouver Titans were defeated by the Houston Outlaws 0-3. Houston took Busan 0-2, Volskaya 2-3, and Rialto 0-3. This left Vancouver's record at 2 wins and 5 losses with a map ratio of -9. They would play again the next day against Philadelphia. While Houston were left at 5 wins and 9 losses with a map ratio of -9, and after the rest of the matches of the weekend had been played, and since they didn't play again, they were left in 15th. Moving on to the community MVP votes, Dante got the 3 points with his percentage of 69.2. Hydration got the 2 points with his percentage of 59.6, and Linkser got the 1 point with his percentage of 55.8. Moving on to the next match of the week, the Florida Mayhem defeated the Washington Justice 3-1. Florida took Lijiang Tower 2-0, then Justice took Hanamura 0-1, but then the Mayhem took Junkertown 2-1 and Kings Row 3-1. This left the Florida Mayhem's record at 7 wins, 4 losses, with a map ratio of +9, and after all the matches of the weekend had been played, they were left in 5th. While Washington were left at 3 wins and 10 losses with a map ratio of -16, and after all the matches of the weekend had been played, they were left in 19th. Moving on to the community MVP votes, Yaki got the 3 points with his percentage of 80.8, BQB got the 2 points with his percentage of 63.3, and Gangnam Jin got the 1 point with his percentage of 46.2. Moving on to the 6th match of the week, the Los Angeles Gladiators were defeated by the Boston Uprising 2-3. Boston took Nepal 0-2, but then they tied on Hanamura 2-2. The Gladiators would take Watchpoint Gibraltar 3-2 and Blizzworld 1-0, but then Boston would take Lijiang Tower 0-2 and Busan 1-2 to win the match. This left the Gladiators' record at 4 wins and 5 losses with a map ratio of -2, and they were left in 12th after all the matches of the weekend had been completed. While Boston were left at 2 wins and 10 losses with a map ratio of -24, and they were left in 20th after all the matches of the weekend had been completed. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Yonbon got the 3 points with his percentage of 65.5, Punk got the 2 points with his percentage of 58.6, and Jerry got the 1 point with his percentage of 51.7. Moving on to the final match of day 1. The San Francisco Shock defeated the Atlanta Reign 3-0. They won on Lijiang Tower 2-0, Volskaya 2-0, and Junkertown 4-3. This left the Shock's record at 8 wins and 2 losses with a map ratio of positive 15, and after the rest of the matches in the weekend had been completed, they were left in 3rd. While Atlanta were left at 5 wins and 5 losses with a map ratio of positive 5, they were left in 8th at the end of the weekend after all the matches had been completed. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Rascal got the 3 points with his percentage of 62.5, Moth got the 2 points with his percentage of 44.6, and Choi Oben got the 1 point with his percentage of 32.1. Moving on to the first match of day 2. The Guangzhou Taj defeated the Chengdu Hunters 3-2. Guangzhou first took Ilios 2-0 and Anubis 2-1. The Hunters would then take Gibraltar 0-1 and Hollywood 1-2, but then the Charge would wrap up the match by taking Oasis 2-0. This left the Charge's record at 8 wins and 6 losses, with a map ratio of -1, and after all the matches of the weekend had been completed, they were left in 7th. While the Chengdu Hunters were left at 4 wins and 10 losses, with a map ratio of -10, and they were left in 17th after all the matches of the weekend had been completed. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Happy got the 3 points with his percentage of 54.3, Shu got the 2 points with his percentage of 37, and Krong got the 1 point with his percentage of 34.8. Moving on to the last Asian region match of the week, the Hangzhou Spark defeated the London Spitfire 3-0. They won on Ilios 2-0, Anubis 2-0, and Rialto 3-0. This left Hangzhou's record at 6 wins and 7 losses with a map ratio of -4, and after the remaining matches had been played, they were left in 10th. While the London Spitfire were left at 4 wins and 5 losses with a map ratio of -7, and they were left in 13th after the rest of the matches had been played. Moving on to the community MVP votes. Godspeed got the 3 points with his percentage of 80.9, Gooseway got the 2 points with his percentage of 70.2, and IDK got the 1 point with his percentage of 31.9. Moving on to the next match of the week. The Dallas Fuel were defeated by the Paris Eternals 0-3. Paris took Lijiang Tower 0-2, Anubis 1-2, and Junkertown 1-3. Dallas's record was left at 4 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of -5, and they were left in 14th after the remaining matches were played, while Paris were left at 7 wins and 5 losses with a map ratio of +5, and they were left in 6th after the remaining matches had been played. Moving on to the community MVP votes. FD God got the 3 points with his percentage of 73.7, Nico Godhands got the 2 points with his percentage of 64.9, and Fielder got the 1 point with his percentage of 43.9. Moving on to the second last match of the week. The Philadelphia Fusion defeated the Vancouver Titans 3-0. They won on Oasis 2-0, Volskaya 2-1, and Rialto 3-0. This left Philadelphia Fusion's record at 12 wins and 1 loss with a map ratio of +24, and they were left in 1st after the remaining match was played, while the Vancouver Titans were left at 2 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of -12, and they were left in 18th after the remaining matches played. Moving on to the community MVP votes. We all saw this coming. Chipsa got the 3 points with his percentage of 72.9. Carpe got the 2 points with his percentage of 38.2, and Sada got the 1 point with his percentage of 30.9. Moving on to the final match of the weekend. The Toronto Defiant were defeated by the Los Angeles Valiant 2-3. The Valiant took Busan 0-2 and Anubis 2-3, but then Toronto took Watchpoint 1-0 and Hollywood 3-2. But then the Valiant would wrap up the match, winning Ilios 0-2. This left the Toronto Defiant record at 4 wins and 8 losses with a map ratio of -6, and they were left in 16th. While the Valiant were left at 5 wins and 6 losses with a map ratio of -4, and they were left in 11th. Moving on to the community MVP votes. KSP got the 3 points with his percentage of 51, Logic's got the 2 points with his percentage of 49, and Lastro got the 1 point with his percentage of 31.4. Moving on to the Overwatch League standings. The Fusion remain in first, Dragons in second, Shock in third, Excelsior in fourth, and Mayhem in fifth. The Eternal are up 3 spots to sixth, while the Charge are up 3 spots to seventh. The Reign remain in eighth, while the Dynasty are down 3 spots to ninth. The Spark are up 2 spots to 10th, while the Valiant are up 3 spots to 11th. The Gladiators are down 1 spot to 12th, while the Spitfire are down 6 spots to 13th. The Fuel are down 1 spot to 14th, while the Outlaws are up 2 spots to 15th. The Defiant are down 1 spot to 16th, while the Hunters are up 1 spot to 17th. The Titans are down 2 spots to 18th, while the Justice remain in 19th and the Uprising remain in 20th. Moving on to the top 10 in the community MVP results. Carpe remains in first on 32 points. Flutter remains in second on 25 points, while Nero remains in third on 20 points. Decay and Lip are tied in fourth on 18 points, with Decay remaining there from last week and Lip being up 1 spot. While Yaki, Jinmu, Jonak, and KSP are all tied in 6th on 16 points. Yaki and KSP are up 4 spots, while Jinmu and Jonak are up 1 spot each. Exi is now tied in 10th on 15 points, while Gooseway is also tied in 10th on 15 points. If you want to read the top 10 in the DPS, tank, and support roles, pause the video and read them now. A big thank you to the 91 people who voted in this week's community MVP poll, and a big thank you to everyone who has watched the video, and please subscribe for more.